Howdy train fans, welcome back to the Chattanooga Southern Railroad. So we're going to do step 2 of our Blue Box build series. And so if you watched the other episode, step 1, I built this box car right out of the new box, complete with the hook horn couplers and whatnot, and just so that you guys can get this thing out and rolling on your track. Today we're going in episode or step 2, as I mentioned before, we're going to do couplers. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring my foam pad over here. The easiest way to change these things out is to remove the trucks. That's how I find. So if you watch the other one, what I'm going to do is back these screws off like so. And what we're going to be installing, most of the Blue Box stuff works well with a number 5 coupler, or that's the old school stuff. That's how old I am. Or today's modern one is, I believe, the Kadee E48. So I'm going to be using Kadee couplers here. Now, if you have the McHenry or the Easy Mates or any of those other ones that are available, so you can use those. So I've taken the truck off with the screw. I'm going to do that to the other side as well. And these are brand new cut threads, so they're pretty easy to get back out again and put back in now that the threads have been cut from the initial assembly process. So we're going to take these trucks back out. You need to be careful pulling it out because it's going to want to pull this frame off. So now that we've done that, we've got to get these cover plates back off. Okay, so I'm going to come up really close here, and the best way to do that is take your screwdriver and come in from the front end and pop up just like that. Okay, don't let it go flying. And so we're going to save that coupler cover. We're going to take our hook horns that we got here and kind of throw it off to the side. We're going to do that for the other side as well. So again, put your flat blade in and just kind of give it a little rocking, and it will pop right off. Again, save the cover. Hook horns, you can do whatever you want with those. Okay, so what I want to do now, you'll see I have a box of Kadee. These are number 5s, right? And you can see I've got a mess of them. So I'm going to pull out 2 of those from my kit. Okay, in addition to that, I'm going to pull out 2 of these, what I call the golden springs. Actually, they're brass, but we'll call them what they are. So again, I'm using Kadee number 5s. They're center shank, no whiskers on it. The Kadee 148s have the whiskers, and don't use these spring boxes, we'll call them, that you see there. But you can do it with either. So to install one of these, it's kind of the reverse. So first thing you want to do is you want to put in the spring box, and basically it just sets right down in that hole, just like that. You then take your Kadee coupler and put it on. Make sure that the hook horn is facing you, not this way. It'll be upside down. Okay, so you want to put it on there, and just like we did before, i.e. I don't recommend you drop it. And of course I did it right between the ties, so that makes things really interesting. Okay, we'll put that back on here. So again, like I said before, the long tab, if you can see that, goes towards the coupler knuckle, right? And you're going to set it over top, just like that. Whoops, with hopefully the coupler in the box, like so. Again, centering the pin in the hole, and there it is, clicked in. And now what you want to do is you want to give it a little flick, make sure that it freely centers itself, like it both ways. You want to double check and make sure that spring's on there, and click it like that, and you're good to go there. So now we're going to do the other side. It's just a repeat of the original process. So put the spring in, coupler with the knuckle up in this orientation, hold it in place, long tab out, and I like to give it a little elevation like that to keep that coupler in place. Set it over, align, move it up until it aligns over top of that pin like that, and clip it home. And you heard it click. So there you are. Now you got both couplers sitting there. Now what we can do is put our trucks back on. Okay. Remember, we're going to be upgrading the trucks in the next episode, but for now, this is just about installing Kadees on an Athearn Blue Box car. So we'll reinstall that, and you can see that this is going in much easier than it did before, because we've already cut those threads in the initial install. So we're going to put these back in. And these are very long screws, so it's going to take you a little bit to get in. Don't use a power drill for this, folks. Just to be fair warning, you will over tighten these and damage them. Don't ask me how I know that. Okay, and we're going to take these on down until they're a little on the more seated side. Now, I want to talk about setting these up, because last time I showed you how I did it. There is another method out there called the 3-point method that one of my viewers reminded me about, and I wanted to go over that with you guys. The idea behind it is that you create one truck that is just loose enough that it swivels in the one plane. Okay, then on the other side, you then loosen this truck enough so that it has some play, not only in this plane where I'm spinning it this way, but also has some play, if you can see it, this way. See that? And the idea behind that is if you have any track that is uneven, you know, in the vertical plane or right to left, rail right to left, the one truck will keep you stable. The other one will allow for that undulation in the trackage. Okay, I am very particular about my track, and so I work very hard to get it level and straight. So I don't use the 3-point method. I take these down to where they're snug, just snug, and I can barely move it, and you saw this in the other one, and just enough to loosen it on both front and rear. You can see that's how I have mine set. Okay, now there we are. We've got our boxcar with Kadees, number 5 Kadees front and back, but we're not done yet. Next thing we want to do is put this thing on our track, or a sample piece of track, right? And then you want to whip out your Kadee height gauge. Okay, if you've not seen one of these, and if you don't have one of these, I recommend you get one. What this tool does is it straddles the track. You'll see it's got 3 points. You can actually use it as a track gauge too. And what it does is it sets, this coupler is set at the perfect height that all your couplers should be for all your rolling stock and your locomotives. This one is metal. I recommend you get the plastic one, especially if you're running DCC, or if you have a tendency to leave the power on your track. You don't want this metal one going up and closing and creating a short, right? My track is completely off at this point. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring you down here so that you can see this. So apologize if I make you a little bit sick here. So what you'll see is we've got the track gauge here on the track, set at the right height. We've got our car on the track, free rolling. You can see it rolls quite nicely. And then I'm going to bring it up to that track gauge. And you'll see, the pin down below is a little bit too low. Because that coupler can't come up onto that little plate on the bottom there, and I'll bring you in a little closer so you can see that. That means we need to make an adjustment to that knuckle, okay? I suspect the other one is too, so we're going to turn the car around. We're going to put it back on the track, like so, and we're going to test that one. Yep, both of them are low. So let's back up here. I'm gonna set you back up, set you down again, and we're gonna make an adjustment. Now, Kadee makes a tool for this, okay? I can't find mine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in here with a pair of needle nose pliers, and I'm gonna grab the very end of this. I'm gonna stabilize the coupler with my thumb. Everybody see that? And then with the pliers, I'm gonna apply a little bit of pressure. Do not wrench this, okay? You don't need much. And what you're gonna try and do is you're gonna do a little bit of a twisting like this. And it doesn't take much. There, that little bit. Now you can see that that's kind of horizontal. I'm gonna do the same thing to this side. I'm gonna brace that coupler with my thumb. I'm gonna grab the end of it and I'm just gonna rotate kind of like in a little clockwise fashion. Now that I've done that, I have broken the coupler box loose, which is lovely. See, you get to see this in live time. I'm gonna use a screwdriver to line this back up again. You'll see I'm aligned again, and I'm going to drive that back down. Okay, now we're in good shape. That's one of the reasons I have my thumb on it. I would recommend making that adjustment without the coupler, the trucks on it, if you're doing this for the first time, because that can happen, and it is really hard sometimes putting that coupler box plate on top. Okay, let's put this back on our track. You can't see me setting it there, but I will bring you down so that you can see what I did. So now that we're down here, right, now we're going to bring our car over, and you'll see it clears, and it mates up quite nicely with the coupler height gauge. I'm going to pull up, turn it around, put it back on the track again. And oop, we still got a little bit of a problem. All right, so let's back up, see what's going on there. So I'm gonna set you back down. Let's see, did our coupler box come loose? No, we're still good there. So let's go back in, put a little pressure on that. Let's grab that hook horn. Let's curl it up a little bit more. We're gonna bring it back down again. I'm gonna bring you back down again so that you can see. And voila. And you'll see that that is at the exact right height. And most blue box cars will be at exactly the right height. Some of the problems that can happen is, especially if you grab an older car or one that's already been run or monkeyed with, sometimes these coupler boxes will droop. Either from this frame, plastic frame drooping. Sometimes you can just put a dab of glue in there and bring it back up tight. That's one solution. So, all right. So, another thing I wanted to cover with you too. There is a way, if these coupler box covers, okay, if you are constantly pulling them off and on and off and on, they will eventually wear out the two plastic tabs on either side of the main box, so they won't stay on. There is a jig and a tool out there, and I forget who makes it. I do not own one, where you can drill and tap for a number 56 screw to put in there. Okay, so know that that's an option too if your coupler boxes will not stay on. Okay, so there you have it. Now we've got our basic car built. We've now replaced it with the new coupler boxes. Now, one thing I wanted to go over with you here is you'll notice on my list here, I've got these colorized, okay? As I build these, I like to keep track of what I've done to each car. And so I have gone out and bought these 3 paint pens. Okay, these came from Michael's. I think I paid $1 something a piece for them in the primary colors. The red represents the car that I've done the couplers to. The yellow is if I've modified and tuned the trucks. The blue is if I've weighted the car. And so since we've now done the couplers for the car, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paint pen, shake it up a bit, make sure I got some red tip there. And on the bottom of the car, I'm going to find a spot and put a dot. Just like that. That dot will never be seen other than if you have a derailment. But I can quickly turn any car over and know exactly what I've done to that car. And eventually, this will have a yellow dot on it and a blue dot on it until I'm done with everything. And then I know that car is completely couplered, trucks have been tuned, and it's been weighted. So there you go. You are ready to roll with any of your other equipment that has Kadees, and you should be good to go. Thank you for watching. Thank you to all my subscribers, and we'll see you on down the tracks. Bye.